In San Antonio tonight, Karl-Anthony Towns had 32 points. Knicks once down by 28, got within 8 a couple of times, but Sandro Mamukelashvili, game of his life. New York native went to Seton Hall, 13 out of 14, career high 34 points. He played only 19 minutes, and the Spurs beat the Knicks tonight 120-104. This was one of the most bizarre games that we have ever seen in terms of runs. Spurs in the first quarter went on a 16-1 run. In the second quarter, the Spurs went on a 23-2 run. In the third quarter, the Knicks went on a 22-3 run. They got within 8 after being down by 28, but they just could not get the lead back. Karl-Anthony Towns scored the Knicks' first 9 points. I mentioned he had the 32. Chris Paul still got it. 39 years old, was in double digits. Stefan Cassell, likely the rookie of the year, went for 22. And then you have Devin Vassell there as the Spurs were up by 24 at the half. Third quarter, Knicks come storming back. Mikal Bridges. Then it's Cat. OG Anunoby, like Bridges, had 14 points. A 22-3 Knicks run, and they got within 8 in the third quarter. Fourth quarter, they got within 8 as well. Campaign pretty good off the bench tonight with 11. But Mamukelashvili, say it twice for me. I've said it twice. Now it's your turn. He hit every big shot when it mattered off the bench. The game of his life by far. 34 points. And then you have the Johnson bank for 3, and the Spurs go up 108-94 and end up winning 120-105. 3-point shooting in the favor of the Spurs, rebounding in favor of the Spurs. You see the rest of the numbers. Knicks outboarded on the defensive board, 37-27. Points in the paint close, and the turnover is pretty close. But the Knicks just got too far down and could never come back. Alan Hahn on the game call tonight with Tyler Murray now joins us from San Antonio. The back and forth, Alan, I know this is a modern day NBA, but these runs back and forth tonight, this is a whole new level tonight.
Yeah, I said on the broadcast, make or miss is such a cliche, but it really felt like that was the way this game was going. Is whoever was making shots, getting into your defense, you were able to set up your defense. But when you miss shots, boy, both teams were going the other way. The Knicks were getting that, doing what they do. They were getting turnovers, turning them into points that third quarter. Their defense was getting their offense going because they really struggled with their offense in that first half. But, Bill, I mean, Mamu has a game of his life. And I'll say this right now. I think the Knicks win this game if he doesn't have a game like that. He was unconscious. He was making shots, defended shots, and at times he was left open, which anybody watching said, why would you leave him open? Because he was so hot. But I think you can say one player was the difference in the game. He was. It felt like every time the Knicks did try to make a push, it was him who made a big shot, whether it was a 3 or whether it was a couple of those dunks. The Knicks just could not find him defensively. The Spurs were smart. They were playing small ball. They were using him in pick and pop instead of pick and roll. So when drop coverage happens, he's open. And what you got to do is make him pay when you're the big man and you're getting that pop and you're open. And he didn't miss 7 of 7 from downtown. Sometimes you got to tip your cap. They had a player who was en fuego tonight.
Alan, you got to put this in perspective. Mamukelashvili has never scored 20 points in a game in his career. He's been in the league a handful of years. Second-round pick out of Seton Hall. So he's never gone for 20. And tonight, as we've talked about, he goes for 34, and he didn't even play 20 minutes in the game. It's unbelievable.
I thought he had 28. I thought his previous high was 28. But still, he has had good games for this team. He has been a good player for them this season. The more they have used him, he's been very useful, and he's got that kind of game that in today's NBA, this is what you want. A big man who can shoot threes, who can set screens, and also what I loved was his rebounding. I think he did a really good job on the glass, and he was effective. So, for the Knicks, it was tough to match up against him. But again, who's 7 for 7 from 3? I mean, it's just you don't see that in the NBA. No matter who it is. Steph Curry might do it. You'll see some of the best shooters in the league do it. Devin Booker can do it at times. Luka Doncic. But not a guy who has so many letters in his name. It goes from one shoulder to the other. And, you got to now look him up from now on. Because when you play against him, future opponents play against him. And if he is a free agent this summer, there'll be teams calling. Because that's the kind of game that a lot of teams want in today's NBA.
Just to clarify, his career high, to your point, 28 before tonight, but his season high coming into this game.
I Googled it for you.
His season high, Alan.
I Googled it for you. Don't worry about it.
Season high 14 before tonight. Bright spot for the Knicks, Karl Anthony Towns. What do you think? 32 points. He scored 15 in a row against Miami the other night and started off well tonight, scoring the first 9 for the Knicks tonight.
Yeah, he was the Knicks offense early in this game because no one else could really get it going. At one point, all the starters were 0 for 10. He was the only one making shots from the field. And that's what you expect, of course, with no Wembanyama in this game, with not a lot of rim protection in this game. It was a perfect game for Karl Anthony Towns to feed him and let him dominate. He did a little of both, inside and certainly outside as well. But they needed more help from other resources, and they just didn't get it until the second half. I felt like in the second half, the Knicks offense did open up more. You saw OG Anunoby start making some shots early on, Mikal Bridges on some cuts, but the flow just wasn't there for the Knicks. They didn't get a lot out of their bench. Landry Shamet campaign struggled with their shooting. You saw Tom Thibodeau play a 9-man rotation. He was trying to get a lot out of his bench, especially in the first game of a back-to-back. But for Towns, of course, you're getting the production without Jalen Brunson. He's got to step up and lead the way. But as we've seen over this stretch, when they've won games, it's always because someone else, whether it's Mikal Bridges or OG Anunoby, is giving you some offense. Tonight it was a struggle to get that second guy going with offense.
Another bright spot aside from Cat. Allen, second straight solid performance from Mitchell Robinson. His first double-double of the season, went for 13 and 11. What did you see from him tonight?
I really liked his activity, and that's the most important part. He played under 20 minutes this time, 17 minutes and 14 seconds, but really good at the rim. His offensive rebounding, which is one of his strengths when he's at his best. He's probably the best offensive rebounder in the NBA. He had 5 offensive rebounds in this game, 11 rebounds total. I love his defense, too. The block shots, a steal. He does affect the defense because of his length, his versatility, his switch ability. But I'll tell you what, when you see the Knicks play him with Karl Anthony Towns, it is a different dimension. It is something that the Knicks, I think they want to see more and more of, but they got to be careful, of course, with his minutes. It'll be interesting, Bill, as we have a back-to-back now. The team will head to Charlotte to play tomorrow night. Is how do they handle him in this? Before the game, Tom Thibodeau wouldn't reveal what the plan was. He said, we're just working on one game at a time. He didn't play over 20 minutes. If he's feeling good, do the Knicks use him tomorrow night in Charlotte, or do they sit him to manage his minutes to make sure he's at full health when the playoffs begin?
Mitch played 17 minutes, 14 seconds tonight, to be exact. Knicks are not going to talk about this. Coach won't talk about it. But the travel schedule here, Alan. You come back from the West on Sunday for the game against Miami. Yesterday, you go to San Antonio. You're in the San Antonio tonight, tomorrow night at Charlotte. How much of this schedule and the impact of all the travel may have had a big impact on what we saw tonight and what we might see tomorrow night?
It was funny when I got here and I saw some players and saw some of the coaching staff. It's what I brought up. 13 nights out of 15 nights in a hotel. You know, only 2 nights at home. They got home. They played Miami. That was a bit of a slow start, too, but then they finally were able to get their defense kicked in, and they were able to pull out the win. Here, like I said, it was the same story. Got off to a slow start. They had to get the legs going. They had to get their offense going. In that third quarter, it started to turn to their favor. And I really do feel like if it wasn't for Mamu making the shots that he made, some unbelievable threes, that it just felt like the Knicks might have been able to take this game. So the effort certainly was there. You're not questioning that. They were getting after it defensively as best they could. The offense just couldn't get there when they needed it to, and they had too big a hill to climb. They've never come back from 28 to win a game in franchise history, so they were trying to make some history tonight. Came close, but again, they won't talk about it, but you're right. You have to acknowledge it. It is a real thing. And not only do they have this long stretch of a ton of games on the road, let's also point out that it's going to end the stretch in a back-to-back in Charlotte, which is not exactly, a puddle jump from San Antonio.
Okay, Alan, we know you're coming home tomorrow. We'll see you here on the pregame show and the postgame show. I need some company, trying to keep the boat afloat here. Need your help.
I'll be in the studio with you tomorrow, Billy.
All right, pal. Have a safe trip home. Tom Thibodeau's comments around the corner, but up next, you got the MSG 150. Cade Cunningham, what do you have for the Pistons? They keep it rolling. The tail's coming up. And the National Basketball Association, Cade Cunningham for 3. 111, 113 is the score. It's a 2-point situation. Now it's 113, all final 5 seconds. Cade for the win. He is electric and an elite player. Look at that. He gets it to go. Pistons win. He had 25 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists. And Miami now is lost 9 games in a row. Cade Cunningham has become an elite talent for the Detroit Pistons. Dallas and the Pacers. P.J. Washington, coast to coast, over Pascal Siakam. Look out below. Watch it again. Dallas barely has enough players to suit up, but they did have Spencer Dinwiddie. Hits a tough 3 over Siakam. All the injuries for the Mavs. But Dinwiddie can score. Dallas up 6. Pacers down 2, 23 seconds left. Mavs ball, but Siakam gets the steal. Mathurin drives. Andrew Nembhard going to get it on the outside for 3 with 14 seconds left. Pacers up by 1, and they win by 4 at 135 to 131. Houston and Orlando. Paolo Banchero goes behind the back. Look at the big man with that mobility. Third quarter, Houston's up by 3. Jalen Green is on the outside for 3. Houston up 12, third quarter. Green again, he had 26. Houston's now won 8 in a row. 116-108, the final over the Magic. New Orleans and Minnesota, Julius Randle turns it over. Zion Williamson in transition. Oh, look at him go. He had 29. Tell you, when he's healthy, not often, but when he's healthy, he can put up the big numbers still. Randle now into the 7th row, just misses those fans. The little guy in the middle was shook. But, hey, yep, you can smile. There you go. All is okay. Nickeil Alexander-Walker from behind the backboard while falling over the baseline. Got it. Watch this again. Impossible. But it goes. Yves Missy here. New Orleans up 1 with an emphatic jam here. And Minnesota had won 8 out of 9, but they lose to the Pelicans tonight. Final count 119 to 115. In fact, since winning 8 in a row, Minnesota's now lost 2 in a row. That's your MSG 150 final, presented by Audi. Tom Thibodeau's post-game comments after this, as his Knicks tonight lose by 15 in San Antonio to the Spurs. Tom Thibodeau now, his post-game comments presented by Chase.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're on the road. I think they scored the first 5 possessions of the game. So defensively, we were a step behind, and we got in a big hole and tough to get out of. We fought. I thought the third quarter we played pretty well and had a shot at it, but we had gotten into too big of a hole. So our defense wasn't good enough. Our rebounding wasn't good enough. And those are probably the 2 biggest things.
I'm not a guy that often harps on the schedule, but did you feel like just kind of the schedule catching up to you guys in that first half, or was that nothing to do with it?
Yeah, you know, like sometimes it's the schedule is the schedule. Sometimes it's in your favor, sometimes it's not. And, you know, we've been on the road a long time, went home for 1, then turned right back around. But that's our reality. And so just find a way to win. And, you know, so the third quarter, you know, I thought we had the right approach, and that helped. And, you know, we got it inside. I think we got it to 8, and, you know, and then, you know, we got hurt with the 3. And so you can live with, you know, sometimes a guy can get hot, and we got to make sure that he puts it down. And Sandro had a great game, but we didn't really take anything away. When our ball pressure got better in the third quarter, then our defense picked up. So, you know, we know that that's how we have to play. So, but as I said, we were a step behind all night.
When you cut it to 8, is it just one of those things that you kind of mentioned that you exert so much energy to kind of get back into it, and they go on a 10-0 run, the 8 goes to 18? Is it just too much to overcome that? Yeah,
well, you still had, you know, we came back again, you know, and you have to have the determination that you can find a way to win under any circumstance. And the fight was there in the third quarter, but again, you get hit again, and you're exerting a lot of energy to get out of those holes. And obviously, you'd much prefer to play from a lead. So I think that's important. But, you know, whatever the circumstances are, just find a way to get it done. I thought Mitch gave us good minutes, and that sort of gave us life for a while there.
I mean, what about the rebounding battle?
Yeah, that was a big concern. Big, you know, particularly, you know, they started the game small. And so, you know, I thought like our reaction to the ball wasn't great. You know, and so and they're athletic and quick, and we got to make sure we're putting a body on it. But it's, and again, I felt like we were behind all night. We were, and it's better to, to initiate and, contact, and then rather than react to it,
I know you said schedule's a schedule, but you go from here, try to fight back all night here and get on a plane and go to Charlotte cross country.
Yeah, so just go in with the right mindset. It's, that's the challenge, and that's what competition's all about. So, your mind is everything, and so if you believe you can do something, you will.
Did you break out a little zone in that third quarter, or did the Giants see it?
Yeah.
All right. Sandro Mamukelashvili with Flavor Flav there. A lot to celebrate. He went for a career-high 34. He went 13 of 14 from the floor as the Spurs tonight beat the Knicks by 15. We continue now from the Corner 3 presented by Michelob Ultra Superior Light Beer. So Josh Hart against the Warriors, the game before the Heat game, 7 shots, didn't score. Had the triple-double against Miami Monday, and tonight only took 4 shots, scored only 2 points. So the roller coaster for him continues. Here's Hart now after the game.
Josh, you guys fell behind by as many as 28 points. You cut the lead to 8. Is it just a matter of too big of a hole to overcome?
I'm not going to say that because, we got a T and then we just had some bad possessions and let them build the lead up. But, we knew this one was going to be tough. Young, hungry team, plays fast. Obviously, we've had a tough schedule the last couple of weeks, going on the road for a week and a half, coming back, national TV game to go right into a back-to-back where we lose hours. So we knew it was going to be tough. We just weren't there, physically or mentally. We were just fatigued.
The offense in the first half, I think the starters, except for Cat, were 0 for 20 at one point. Just is it one of those nights where the ball just doesn't fall?
I think it's a combination of, the ball not falling, but also we have to make it easier for each other. We have to play make for each other and put each other in good situations to be successful. We knew that was going to be the struggle without JB. But, we got to make the game easier for each other. And I feel like we didn't do that today.
Sandro obviously had a really good night. As you chalk it up to kind of the fog, both physically and mentally, in terms of just how the team guarded him, or is it just an NBA player having a good night?
I mean, he's in the NBA for a reason. He's a good player. And we weren't focused enough or locked in enough to realize what was going on. The IQ wasn't there. I think it was 13 for 14, 7 for 7 from the 3-point line. When a guy has a game going like that, you have to find him, and get to his body and be physical with him and kind of get him out of rhythm. And, we didn't do that. So obviously, he had a career night. He's a good player, but, we got to know what guys do well, their tendencies, and take that away. And we didn't take anything away from them.
When you have this kind of schedule where it's like so many plane trips and everything, is it draining more mentally than physically?
A little bit. You already know, like, the biggest thing about the NBA is the travel. That's the toughest thing. And we're in the dog days of the season. And so, your body's already going to be tired and you got to get going. And then, you got to find it mentally. And, a little bit drained mentally, but we got to make sure we regroup. We got another tough one tomorrow with a team that plays extremely fast. We're on a back-to-back and we lose an hour. So we got, certain things scheduling-wise against us. So we got to make sure we, pick it up.
Again, the travel really challenging for the Knicks, as Josh Hart just talking about. Tomorrow night, they have to be at Charlotte. They got to get on the plane right now and get rolling. We'll see you tomorrow night at 6:30, and the game tomorrow night is at 7. We'll continue with our post-game show after this and take a look ahead when we return right after this. All right, so the Knicks at Charlotte tomorrow night. Home Saturday to face the Wizards. Next week, home game against Dallas, followed by a home game against the Clippers, and then at Milwaukee a week from Friday.